Welcome. You're here because you want to get right to the core of a topic, understand it quickly, but also deeply. No fluff, just what matters.
Exactly. And today we're taking that deep dive into Himachal Pradesh.
Right, often called Dev Bhumi, the land of gods.
Yeah.
But, what does that actually mean on the ground? It's more than just a nice name, isn't it?
It really is. Dev Bhumi points to something profound, this incredible density of temples, the sheer spiritual weight you feel across the region.
Okay.
We've gone through our notes, our research, basically trying to pull out the most crucial stuff about these sacred places.
Yeah, our mission here is to understand not just what these temples are, but what they really signify for Himachal and its people.
Their history, their architecture, how they fit into daily life.
Definitely. And what struck me right away looking through the material was just how many there are. I mean, everywhere. On mountaintops, tucked away in valleys.
Almost overwhelming.
How did the landscape get so, saturated with temples?
Well, that ubiquity tells you a lot about the religious landscape itself. It's deeply ingrained.
Primarily Hindu. Right.
Mostly, yes. Hinduism is dominant, but you absolutely have to acknowledge the Buddhist influence too, especially in areas like Lahore, Spiti, Kinnar. It's quite significant there.
Mm-hmm.
But almost every village, seems to have its temple, often ancient ones. And they feel so connected to the place, built with local wood, stone, slate.
That harmony with nature seems key. So let's talk history. These aren't new, obviously. What are the roots here?
Oh, they go deep, way back. There are connections in ancient texts, like the Mahabharata, the Puranas.
Really?
Yeah, referencing the Himalayas as this place where gods and sages lived. So the land itself is considered sacred in tradition.
Ah, I see.
And many temples are tied directly to those narratives. You hear stories about the Pandavas during their exile, or great sages like Vashishta and Parashar meditating right there in those mountains.
So the myths are physically mapped onto the landscape.
Precisely. It suggests this continuous spiritual importance stretching back thousands of years.
Fascinating. But it wasn't just mythology placing them there, right? People built them.
Of course. Human effort and patronage were crucial. Over centuries, you had kings, local chieftains. They invested a lot in building these temples.
Why? Just devotion?
Devotion, yes, but also symbols of their power, their legitimacy. These grand structures were religious centers, but also statements. Many are still standing because of that support.
Okay, let's zoom in on some of the really famous ones. Jwala Devi in Kangra. That image of the flame, the one that just burns and burns.
It's incredibly evocative, isn't it? That perpetual flame with no obvious fuel source.
Yeah. What's the significance there?
Well, it's one of the 51 Shakti Pithas, hugely important sites where parts of the goddess Seti are said to have fallen.
Right, I remember reading that. Which part here?
Here, the legend says it was her tongue. And what's fascinating is how this natural phenomenon, probably escaping gas, has been seen for centuries as, a direct sign of the goddess, Jwala-ji.
Nature and belief intertwined.
Perfectly.
Okay, then Nayana Devi in Bilaspur. Another Shakti Pitha. And that location.
Yes, another one. Tradition holds Sati's eyes fell there. And that hilltop spot overlooking Gobind Sagar Lake, it definitely adds to the aura.
You can imagine.
And these pithas, they create these pilgrimage circuits, right? Connecting different parts of the region through this shared mythology, especially during festivals like Navaratri.
Makes sense. Let's move to Una. Chinpurni Temple. The name suggests relief from worries.
Exactly. Chinpurni Devi, a form of Durga, is seen as the remover of worries, the one who eases suffering, mental and physical.
And the mythology. Also Sati.
Here, it's believed her feet landed, which kind of resonates, feet connecting you to the ground, finding stability, relief from anxiety. People really seek solace there.
Interesting connection. Okay, Bajnath Temple, Kangra again, 13th century, dedicated to Shiva. What does its age and style tell us?
Well, the age itself is significant. And the architecture, intricate stone carvings, that classic Nagara-style spire or shikara shows real sophistication for its time.
And the name, Vaidyanatha.
Lord of Physicians, that's really insightful. It points to maybe a historical link with healing, health, maybe even early medical practices, or just a focus on divine help for well-being.
And there's the Ravana connection, too.
Yeah, the legend says Ravana worshipped Shiva there for invincibility. Adds another layer, connects it to the big epics.
From stone to wood, Hidimba Devi Temple in Manali. That one's quite different, isn't it? dedicated to a demoness.
It really is unique, venerating Hidimba, Bhima's wife from the Mahabharata, who was originally a demoness. It shows how flexible Hinduism can be, sort of absorbing local figures.
And the look is different too.
Totally. That pagoda-style roof, all the wood carvings, built in 1553. It's a distinct regional style, adapted to the climate, the materials available, a very local expression.
The Bhima Kali temple in Sarahan, you mentioned Indo-Tibetan architecture there. What does that mix signify?
That blend at Bhima Kali, which is another Shakti Pitha, Sati's ear, supposedly it physically shows the cultural exchange.
Between Hinduism and Buddhism.
Exactly. Over centuries, these traditions interacted, influenced each other. The architecture isn't just aesthetics. It reflects a deeper blending of ideas, creating this unique regional identity.
Shimla has some key temples too. Tara Devi, known for the views, the peace.
Yeah, the location is definitely part of its appeal. Being up on a hill, those panoramic views, it naturally creates a sense of elevation, detachment, good for contemplation.
Makes sense for a temple dedicated to goddess Tara, a form of Shakti.
Creates a real sanctuary feel.
And Jakku Temple. You can't miss that giant Hanuman statue in Shimla.
No, you really can't. It's a major landmark.
What's the story there? Why so prominent?
Well, the statue is a constant reminder of Hanuman, obviously, but the legend ties the location itself to the Ramayana. It's said Hanuman rested on that very peak while searching for the Sanjivani herb for Lakshmana.
The magic herb.
Right, so putting the temple on Shimla's highest point, it anchors the town spiritually, shows that deep reverence for Hanuman.
Okay, back near Kangra Chamunda Devi, a fierce aspect of Durga.
Yes, the goddess who defeated the demons Chanda and Munda.
Does the setting reflect that?
You could say that. It's on the banks of the Bainer River, hills around. There's a kind of potent natural energy there that resonates with that fierce divine power. Especially during Navratri, the atmosphere is intense.
And one more major one for now. Ma Sharvari Temple in Kulu. Its role in the Dussehra festival.
Hugely important. Sharvari Devi is the Kulade, the ancestral deity of the Kulu kings.
The royal connection.
Right. So her idol isn't just in the Kulu Dussehra celebrations, it's central. It really highlights how local deities are woven into these major regional festivals and the temple's lasting cultural significance for Kulu.
It's amazing how each one has its own distinct story and feel. But you said there are also lesser known ones worth exploring.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes they give you an even closer look at local traditions and architecture.
Like which one?
Well, the Parashar Rishi Temple, New Mandi. It's by this beautiful lake, Parashar Lake.
Okay.
And the temple itself is classic Himachali-style wood, slate roof, really fitting for the mountains. Plus, there's a legend the sage himself created the lake. Adds to the magic.
Nice. And what about that one shared by Hindus and Buddhists?
Trilokanath Temple. In Lahore Spiti, that's a powerful example.
So?
Because it's sacred to both. Hindus worship Shiva there, Buddhists see it as Avalokiteshvara. It's this living symbol of peaceful coexistence, of respect between faiths in that region.
That's quite special.
It really is.
And Shikari Devi Temple, also
Yep.
Mandi, high up and no roof.
Yeah, perched way up high, believed to be goddess Durga's hunting ground. And the local story is that the goddess prefers it open to the sky, so deliberately no roof.
Wow.
Adds a real mystique, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like this raw, direct connection between the deity and the wild landscape. Untamed spirit.
We've touched on the different looks. Can we dig into the architectural styles a bit more?
Yeah.
Clearly not uniform.
Not at all. The diversity reflects the geography, the climate, different cultural waves over time.
You mentioned Kathkuni.
Right, that's common in higher areas like Kulu. It's this brilliant technique interlocking wood and stone, no cement or mortar.
Why build like that?
It's earthquake resistant, uses local materials, really smart vernacular design, perfectly suited to the place.
In the pagoda style, we saw that at Hidimba.
Yep, Hidimba, Trilokina. You see those tiered, sloping roofs, lots of detailed wood carving, clear influence from Buddhist structures in the Himalayas, showing that cultural crossover.
Then the Nagara style, like Vaishnav. More like temples in the plains.
Exactly. Those tall, curved spires, shikaras, and stone carvings. Seeing that style tells you there were periods of strong connection, culturally or politically, with the northern plains. Different materials, different artisans involved.
And finally, that Indo-Tibetan fusion, like at Bhima Kali. How does that look, practically?
You see it in things like the roof design, maybe influenced by Tibetan monasteries, certain decorative motifs that mix Hindu and Buddhist symbols, sometimes even the layout of the temple complex. It's a visual representation of how ideas blended where these cultures met.
So these aren't just old buildings, they're alive with festivals, rituals.
Absolutely central. Think of Navratri, huge crowds at Jwaladevi, Chintpurni, Chamundadevi, shows the power of the goddess tradition.
Right.
And Kulu Dusera is unique deities from many temples brought together. It shows how interconnected they all are.
And other festivals?
Shivratri is bid at Shiva temples like Bajnath, Trilokanath, and even small village temples come alive for Makar Sankranti, Baisakhi. With local fairs, specific rituals, they really mark the year.
So they have this dual role, pilgrimage sites, but also tourist spots. How does that work?
Well, the stunning locations, the art, the history, the spiritual vibe, it naturally attracts people, tourists, and pilgrims alike.
Which must bring benefits, but also challenges.
Exactly. Tourism can help local economies, sure, but managing crowds, protecting the site's sanctity, preventing environmental damage. It's a constant balancing act for the communities and authorities.
And beyond festivals and tourism, how deeply are they woven into everyday local life?
Very deeply. The idea of the Gram Devta, the village deity, is key.
The protector of the village.
Protector guide, central to the community's well-being, and temple councils often act almost like local governing bodies, settling disputes, organizing things, even folk traditions, music, dance. A lot of that originated in temple rituals and celebrations. Their influence is profound.
It sounds like they're truly living parts of the community, but being so old, so significant, preservation must be a huge issue.
It is a constant concern. You've got natural threats, earthquakes, landslides in the mountains.
Of course.
Then the pressure from tourism pollution, erosion near the sites, and sometimes modernization means losing traditional building skills, which makes authentic repairs harder.
Is enough being done to protect them?
There are definitely efforts. Local authorities, the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, various NGOs, they're involved in restoration, documentation, trying to raise awareness.
That's good to hear.
People recognize how important these temples are, culturally and even economically, so there is work being done.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway for you on Himachal's temples?
I think it's just how much more they are than just places to worship. They're like living archives of history, art, culture, spirituality, all woven into this incredible landscape.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like every single temple, big or small, tells a story of faith, of mythology that still matters, and just resilience, human connection to something bigger.
It really is Devbhoomi. Exploring it reveals this amazing tapestry, history, faith, art, community, all tied together. It really makes you think about the enduring spirit of this place, this land of gods. Maybe it makes you want to see it yourself.